The government of Cameroon gets to work immediately after floods in Maroua. Public Works Minister says emergency works have started to reestablish traffic between Maroua and Kusere. Cameroon and Equatorial Guinea have entered into the implementation phase of a cooperation agreement to reinforce defense and cross-border security. Defense and security forces of both countries met in the border town of Ebibeyin Saturday. And in Douala City, Council has started demolishing houses constructed in risk zones in the Lokbesu neighborhood. The inhabitants who had been informed now say they have nowhere to go. Good evening and welcome to the 7:30 news. I am Benin Bumagana in Yaoundé.
Each of us must comply with the measures that have been taken.
The Minister of Public Works has announced that emergency works have started to re-establish traffic between Maroua and Kusere. Emmanuel Nganu Jumesi was speaking today in Maroua at a meeting with divisional delegates of his ministry and mayors of councils of the Far North region. The meeting held on the sidelines of the visit of the interministerial mission to the Far North. Ebenezer Akanga reports.
The state of roads, bridges and culverts in the Far North region is very bad, especially with the coming of the rains. Access to many localities is very difficult, while some other localities have simply been cut off.
We are in a special area in crisis, so we would like government really help us to develop this area by, rehabilitating our main roads.
On the sidelines of the visit of the interministerial mission to the Far North region, the Minister of Public Works, Emmanuel Nganu Jumesi, met with divisional delegates of his ministry and mayors of councils of the region to discuss the problem of road infrastructure in their various council areas.
The mayors are the project owner as far as the communal roads are concerned. So we have to discuss the programming, the assessment of what has been done since 2016, and the assessment of what is being done now, and in order to well program what will be done in 2021.
Emmanuel Nganu Jumesi insisted on the need for collaboration between divisional delegates of public works and mayors in the execution of road construction or maintenance projects.
We stay in the Far North region where flood victims in the Diamare, Mayo Kani, Mayo Danai and Logan and Shari subdivisions have received a huge consignment of special assistance from the head of state, Paul Biya. The assistance was handed over to them today in Maroua by the head of the interministerial mission to the Far North region, Paul Atanganji. Details of that report with you, Ebenezer Akanga in Maroua.
It is a huge consignment of special assistance comprised of bags of millet, rice, maize, cartons of vegetable oil, mattresses, blankets, cartons, buckets, fertilizer, improved variety of seeds, pesticides and motor pumps that the head of state has offered to flood victims of Maroua and Pete in Diamare Division, Waza in Logon and Shari Division, Kaikai and Maga in Mayo Denai Division, and Muvudai in Mayo Kani Division. The ceremony to hand the special assistance that took place on the esplanade of the Far North Governor's Office in Maroua saw exceptional mobilization as the population turned out in huge numbers to thank the head of state. Their words of thanks were conveyed by the Maroua City Mayor and a representative of the victims. The head of the interministerial mission, Paul Atanganji, recognized the unflinching support of the population of the Far North to President Paul Biya and said that President Biya, in turn, will always stand by them in times of joy or sorrow.
Population has been very cooperative. They have thanked President Paul Biya for this wonderful gesture, and they said that for the simple fact that we came to see the realities of the place is already a motive of satisfaction.
On the occasion, the elite of the Far North addressed a motion of support to the head of state.
Thank you very much, Ebenezer. Now in Douala, the Douala City Council has started demolishing houses constructed in high-risk zones. The exercise began at the Logbesung Konong neighborhood, precisely in the locality known as Carrier in the Douala 5 subdivision. Alfonso Bongwa, please tell us that story.
The bulldozers of the Douala City Council bring bad news to the population of Logbesung Konong Carrier. They had been forewarned, yet not forearmed. This action targets the protection of the population. We prefer to see them on the streets than engulfed by earth. The City Council officials say the operation is intended to take them off an impending danger which may be more catastrophic than they think. People here are at fault. This is a prohibited zone for construction. The operation comes barely weeks after the city suffered its hardest hit inundations in decades. When we leave from here, we will go to Bobongo Petit Paris. All houses built on the drainage way will be demolished. All those still occupying these spaces should quit before the City Council gets to them, because there is nothing that will stop this operation. We will go to the end. The victims are left in agony and watch helplessly how the City Council executes this plan to bring back sanity to Douala.
We wish them well. Now, Cameroon and Equatorial Guinea have entered into the implementation phase of a cooperation agreement to work together to reinforce defense and cross-border security. Defense and security experts from both countries met in the border town of Ebibeyin Saturday in the first subcommittee conclave following the Sipopo Accord signed last July 21. Our special envoy to Equatorial Guinea, Drusilla Mokoso-Joki, reports.
The top-level defense and security meeting, attended by experts and officials of Cameroon and Equatorial Guinea, in that country's Kirtem provincial capital, Ebibeyin, sharing borders with Cameroon's Kiosi and Olamze in the south region, was fitting just after the Sipopo Accord signed on July the 21st by both countries' defense bosses. Speaking at the start of deliberations, the head of the Cameroonian delegation to Ebibeyin, commander of the 1st Combined Military Region, Brigadier General Ezon Vondo Simon, emphasized his country's willingness to join forces with Equatorial Guinea to rid both nations' shared borders of all forms of criminal activity. Welcoming Cameroon's delegation was Equatorial Guinea's Chief of the Army and Defense Forces, Major General Lamberto Ngema Misha, who equally enunciated Malabo's determination to work in tandem with Yaoundé in their common battle against the scourges. Prominent at the opening of the Ebibeyin military conclave was the outgoing ambassador of Cameroon to Equatorial Guinea, Lazare Mpuel Mbala, the ambassador of Equatorial Guinea to Cameroon, and the governor of the Kirtem province. With this first meeting, hope is lofty that negotiations will pave the way for the opening of the country's shared borders and the rebirth of win-win economic partnerships, vital for the growth of the sub-region.
Elected officials of the Northwest have agreed to a plan that requires their collective effort in the project to restore peace and promote development in the region. During an assembly in Bamenda, mayors, MPs and senators identified the effective reopening of schools in every part of the Northwest region as their priority. Mercy Kusi reports from Bamenda.
This meeting is the first of its kind since they took office as mayors, members of parliament and senators of the Northwest region. In this gathering, they discuss ways through which they can work for the interests of the electorate, mentioning peace as the solution to one of the region's most pressing problems of the time, effective school resumption.
It is very ridiculous that we follow up a revolution with illiterates, people who don't go to school. Our children will become all bandits and all destroyed, and the region will completely destroyed. if there's no education.
We have to go back to the roots and make sure that we talk to the population, each councillor in its own area.
For the success of this initiative, each of them have been counseled to keep their differences aside and engage the efforts of everyone.
This is time now when we are talking about development of the region by the people of the region. Therefore, right down to everybody at the grassroots level, it's important that everybody comes on board.
Part of the discussions went on in camera to receive proposals from the elected officials.
The World Bank Group has paused the publication of the Doing Business report for 2021 due to a number of irregularities. The World Bank is presently doing an assessment of data changes and an independent internal audit to safeguard data integrity. Luma Slim Davis revisits the facts.
Cameroon, with its intention of becoming an emerging economy by 2035, will have to consolidate present economic growth, which stands at about 4.1%, and boost direct foreign investment. The country's strategic location in Central Africa, neighboring landlocked countries like Chad and the Central African Republic, increases its economic advantages. Doing business, which contributes to the solution, is expected to trend around 166.00 in 2021, according to our economic models. Shortcomings of doing business in Cameroon include high tax burdens, poor infrastructure, corruption, weak rule of law, and inefficiencies of a large postal system. However, the pluses include low cost of labor, abundant natural resources in mining and agriculture, as well as being a member of the CFA zone with diversified export economy.
An American credit rating agency, S&P Global Ratings, has dropped Cameroon's sovereign rating, while Moody's Ratings maintains Cameroon's position in spite of the economic hardship brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic, the fall of oil prices, and the social unrest in the northwest and the southwest regions. In the following report, Beatrice Ngum presents the rating agencies and the importance of the rating to a country's growth. Her report.
Moody's and Standard & Poor's are two rating agencies, all based in the United States of America. As of 2013, they held a collective global market share of roughly 95%, with Moody's and Standard & Poor's having approximately 40% each. Just last April, Moody's and Standard & Poor's Global Ratings rated Cameroon's economic outlook as negative. 5 months after, the new Moody's and Standard & Poor's report confirms a stable outlook for Cameroon, though the outlook is rated at B2 for Moody's and B- for Standard & Poor's. Moody's justifies its new rating by the country's ability to resist economic shocks in the face of COVID-19 and its diversified economy in the CEMAC region. Standard & Poor's, like Moody's, think the socio-political crisis in the country is weighing on Cameroon's economic prospects. However, Moody's is more optimistic as to the country's ability to stand the shocks due to its diversified economy.
Our newsroom dossier tonight spotlights the national campaign to promote the culture of cybersecurity and the responsible use of social media that has been running for almost 1 month. The campaign, organized by the Ministry of Posts and Telecommunication, with theme All Mobilized for Cybersecurity in Cameroon, seeks to prevent cyber attacks in the country. Yoti Kalelisonge reports on the strategies public administrations can use to fight cybercrime, as well as the measures taken so far.
A rugged task securing Cameroon's cyberspace, where 3 main pillars need to work in synergy: public administrations, the civil society, and enterprises. The Ministry of Posts and Telecommunications, championing the national campaign to promote the culture of cybersecurity, is keen on preventing cyber attacks in the country.
To sensitize the users of platform, and it's very important for us to keep safe those information for the credibility of our administration.
In some ministries, measures such as putting in place a web interface to identify an attack on their servers have been taken.
The certification of our platform we work with the Antique to do this.
Those who have a mastery of ICTs think they can do more.
It is very important for workers of public administration to have training in technological intelligence. It's also important to train the workers on cyber security.
With such actions enforced, Cameroon cyberspace will be better protected and safe from invasions.
And since we are talking about cyber security, it is possible to secure data online or have access to protected data on the web. ICT experts say a couple of softwares have made cyber security possible. Beatrice Ngum comes back on some of these security tools.
From different destinations, they head towards a common meeting point, the World Wide Web. Many a Cameroonian connects to the social engine to find the world closer.
To verify on the veracity of information with the use of cryptography and steganography, as well as artificial intelligence.
But just how can users stay safe on the World Wide Web?
If you have a website which has an HTTP without an S, know that it is not safe enough. One that has an HTTPS refers to the S stands for security, so you are secured.
IT experts opine that to secure data means to use the right applications and software.
You have antiviruses, you have anti-malware applications. Generally, you have applications that protect your network from attack.
The web opens users to a free world, but a world without checks and balances can be destructive.
The new Executive Council of Lembe Yezum in the Upper Sanaga division of the Central Region has been officially installed. The ceremony presided over by the SDO of the Upper Sanaga, Albert Nangadang, the municipal councillors were implored to foster peace and development in the area. Joyce Tata reports.
A heavy pour ushering in the new Executive Council of Lembe Yezum with Isabel Estop, very First Lady, at its helm. While officially installing them, the SDO of the Upper Sanaga, Albert Nangandang, called on the municipal councillors to be peace promoters in the community, which houses about 20,000 people.
First thing is that Lembe Yezum is a bed of CPGM. We have always here 100% CPGM. We also want to say good luck to this new communal executive in their work.
The ceremony, attended by dignitaries and CPDM supporters, also made room for the Bureau to be told of the challenge which awaits them, that of giving a new face to the Lembe Yezum community.
In just a minute, we'll be getting Baldwin Sama, who is at the Health Emergency Operations Center. But before that, Baldwin Sama was telling us that staff of the Public Health Emergency Operations Center have been screened for COVID-19. Over 140 persons were tested as part of an ongoing mobile testing introduced by the Ministry of Public Health. Baldwin Sama, this is his report.
Concerned by staff of the Public Health Emergency Operations Center, that of knowing their COVID-19 status, given their daily involvement in the fight against the virus. 140 staff had themselves screened with their results to be out 15 minutes after or 24 hours after. Prior and after each screening, each staff was cancelled as a long queue of anxious workers was visible. Officials of this emergency operations center say this exercise is for the staff's security.
We organize this testing for the health personnel and those in the health operations center to be sure that we are not a danger, for our other stakeholders.
This rapid mobile screening will continue in different parastatals in the days ahead.
The wearing of face masks in public places will be mandatory until further notice.
let's go over to the Health Emergency Operations Center now. In our tour of how the regions are fighting against the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic, we go to the Littoral region where health professionals in the region have mapped out a number of strategies to halt the spread of the disease. Now let's meet Baldwin Sama, the Health Emergency Operations Center, with his guest, Dr. Jean de Disongo, Regional Delegate of Public Health in the Littoral, to tell us about these strategies. Good evening to you, Baldwin Sama.
Good evening and welcome. We continue our tour of the different regions this Sunday evening as we take you over to the nation's economic capital, Douala. Douala, like the nation's capital city, Yaoundé, these two regions that are hardly hit as far as the spread of COVID-19 is concerned. Our guest tonight is Dr. Jean de Disongo, who is the Littoral Regional Delegate of Public Health. Mr. Regional Delegate, good evening.
Good evening.
How is the mobile testing being carried out in Douala, some parts of the nation's economic capital, especially in the ports and in the markets in Douala?
This mobile testing is going on since 2 weeks ago, and this specific strategy helped us to test more than 5,000 people per week since 2 weeks ago. And we are now working with the Douala City Council to increase this capacity of testing so that we can better control this epidemic in this town.
Finally, Mr. Regional Delegate, what's the situation in the nation's economic capital, the number of patients we still have in the hospitals and treatment centers?
Yes. According to the statistics, the number of patients is dropping, and this may be due to the fact that most of cases that are tested are asymptomatic, and they want to be taken in charge at home. And that's why we particularly ask for people to just reinforce the governmental measures concerning the respect of wearing their mask and washing their hands, so that this treatment at home should not be another point of development for this epidemic.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jean de Disongo. You are the Regional Delegate of Public Health for the Littoral region of Cameroon. That's the situation in that part of the country. What we know so far is that over 5,000 tests have been carried out, talking about mobile testing in that part of the nation's economic capital. We continue our tour of the regions next weekend. Back to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Baldwin Sama von Kemen. Over to the southwest now. A huge crowd of sons and daughters of Great Sopo and other localities in Buea have expressed thanks to President Paul Biya for the recent appointment of their son Churchill Ewumbwe Monono as Cameroon's ambassador to Ethiopia. The people also pledged their commitment to bring lasting peace to the southwest region. Guy Rogenana tells us the story.
This is His Excellency Churchill Ewumbwe Monono, first ever FACO ambassador in the history of the country. Following his appointment, the Great Sopo community could not remain indifferent.
I am humbled by the turnout for the civic reception. It shows the peace, love and unity that is prevailing now in Great Sopo. It's the first time somebody from FACO division is appointed to the position of an ambassador.
Was equally an opportunity to awaken the spirit of peace and reconciliation.
That sacrifice that the head of state has made comes with of reconciliation and a message of assurance that the head of state doesn't forget those who love and work for their country.
We are behind the president 100%. He has scratched our backs and we shall scratch his own back.
In the presence of the governor of the Southwest region, the day culminated in the reading of a motion of support to the head of state, President Paul Biya.
On to religion now. Some Christians of the Obala Diocese, grouped under a movement known as Association of Pilgrims, have offered a prayer. But we are going to come back to that story to say that a new temple of the Cameroon Baptist Convention has been dedicated in the Mendong neighborhood in Yaoundé. It is called the CBC Fountain Life Chapel of Mendong, and it's a seed planted by the Tukebe Baptist Church. The new pastor of the church, Reverend Alex Kemfak, explains the church's mission in the following report.
We are actually dedicating our new hall. The place where you see behind us is a new hall. It's true that we are sitting in rentage, but God has sent me in this community so that I can bring His word to these people and I can reveal Christ to the people in this community. It's a very difficult task. As a man of God, you have to go beyond the measure to be able to do the work of God. It's just my joy to bring the word of God to the people, to let the people know Christ.
The mortal remains of the late Vice President of CERAC, Aliokol Kale Dade Beth, have been buried in her native Mesok in the East region. She was decorated posthumously, as we hear in this report by Tala LT.
The number of persons who braved the rough roads to Mesok to pay their last respect to late Madame Aliokol Kale Dade Beth, popularly called Mama Beth, speaks volumes of the sentimental attachment they had with the deceased.
She was open to everybody and she used to have everybody around her, giving.
Mrs. Aliokol used to be one of these persons working as our general treasury, as far as, sharing the gifts to vulnerable people.
Late Madame Aliokol Kale Dade Beth was posthumously decorated with the Officer of the Order of Valor by the SDO of the Upper Nyong, Joseph Bertrand Maché. Her husband, Jean-Marie Aliokol, did not forget to thank the presidential couple before her demise on August 4, 2020. Late Madame Aliokol Kale Dade Beth had served as Mayor of the Mesok Council, Vice President of the Circle of Friends of Cameroon, CERAC, and Treasurer of the Chantal Biya Foundation.
May her soul rest in perfect peace. About 40 women in Yaoundé have acquired skills in tailoring, hairdressing, and other income-generating activities. Their training was organized by a non-governmental organization by name Pomad Foundation. Romeo Kenya reports that the women are now ready to create jobs for themselves after the training. Here is his report.
In a classroom atmosphere, Tahirin Zana has been training these 40 women in several trades for 2 days. Dyeing of cloth, which entails using hot water and some chemical composition, is just one of them. And this is how the final product looks like.
It's so wonderful. We studied on how to make a liquid savon and eau de javel. Took some home and I tried it. It was very effective. We have discovered that it's needless to be throwing white bedsheet. What we can do with the white bedsheet is we try to paint it to give another bedsheet in different colors.
This initiative is intended to empower the ladies in order to be autonomous financially and equally become job creators.
I want every woman become independent to help her husband.
After acquiring the different skills, many trainees are poised, opening their own training centers subsequently.
And it's with that report that we've come to the end of the 7:30 news edition for today. Esther Kima will be here tomorrow Monday evening for the news. I'll see you on Friday. Thank you very much for watching. The next edition of the news comes up at midnight. Good night.
In this connection, we should avoid stigmatizing.
CRTV News, ici, toute l'info.